RocSports. I'm back with another video. As you can tell by the title, this is another video on the Lakers, man. We all knew that this was coming, that this day would come. Let's get right up into it. It's official. The Lakers are officially out of playoff contention. They didn't even qualify for the play-in. And I feel like at this point with the Lakers, it's like beating a dead horse. Like, I feel like everybody has come around and everybody's on the same page, but I always say I'm not one of these people, but in this moment, I'm gonna be this person. I said it from the get-go, man. I didn't understand how Russ would fit with LeBron, simply just that alone, which made me question the whole fit of the team, let alone just Westbrook being. So on top of me questioning the fit, Westbrook still, two things can be true. He still had, if not the worst, one of his worst seasons overall in his whole career, especially since he's been Russell Westbrook, like Russ, you know what I mean? Like, since he's been that, this has to be the worst. And you could part of the reason you can say that is because of expectations. Russ himself said he had no expectations, but I refuse to believe that. Like, why would he, why would he meet with LeBron and Anthony Davis and not, they had no expectations, man? He knew what did he say in the offseason, Westbrook? If anybody know how to get back to a championship or get to a championship, it's LeBron. So I'm in the right spot, some along those lines. Russ has been terrible, but Russ has been available. So Lakers fans and Lakers players, they steady pointing to injuries as the reason why, and rightfully so. But everybody has injuries, man. Everybody has injuries. So yes, going into this year, the Lakers was a top 3 consensus title favorite on most people's boards. So a lot of people had the Lakers over Golden State, and nobody even knew Memphis would be this, but over Golden State and Phoenix. A lot of people had them over them, predicting going into the year. As well as some people had them over Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and whoever else in the East-wise going into the season. So my point is, they were a legit top 3, top 5 title favorite. For them to not even make the playoffs, though, man, I just can't wrap my head around that one. That's so crazy to me. Like, man, like, again, I know everybody has said this, but it's so true. How do you not make the qualifying play-in? I understand that you have injuries, but again, everybody has injuries, so I don't want to hear that as an excuse in terms of not making the playoffs. You can use that excuse if y'all was to get swept in the first round. Y'all just happen to be a middle of the pack seed, whatever the case. Or, if y'all just got embarrassed in the playoffs, whatever, but y'all don't even qualify for the play-in, let alone to just get in the playoffs. But the play-in, you're not even in a play-in game with LeBron, Melo, Russ, Dwight. I don't care who's older and who's not, man. Them are still NBA Hall of Famers. So some of those are the best to ever do it. And that's ridiculous, man. Everybody want to point the blame at Russ. Russ deserves a lot of blame, but he's not. There's enough blame to go around, from coaching, from the front office all the way down to the players, to the fans, but to the players for sure. This is LeBron's worst team, man. What team can you say, especially given the expectations, like I'm saying, what team can you say was worse than this? You can't. That Cavs team when D Wade and D Rose and Isaiah Thomas, all of them was on that team. Nobody had them as a title favorite. People might have thought that they could do something, but people said that, oh, D Rose is trash, well, washed up, and Isaiah Thomas coming off this, and D Wade is washed up, and all of that. So a lot of people going into the season had this Lakers team being better than that Cavs team. But I think that this is the worst record-wise for a LeBron-led team since his rookie season. So that says a lot. Year 19, man. This is a wasted year for LeBron, without question. People want to point to the numbers and say what he did offensively, and yes, but it didn't contribute to winning. And that's all what it's about. We talk about young players all the time that balls in small markets. or when nobody is paying attention to the team. Like if it's a team like, say, Houston or Orlando or OKC or like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Been balling consistently all year for the most part. Nobody's talked about them. Why? Because they're not winning. Trae Young, before last year, they wasn't winning. You know what I mean? Like, winning is everything. So I don't want to hear nothing about LeBron numbers, man. AD, he got to seriously get right, because my thing is this now. What do the Lakers go from here? Kendrick Nunn, I see, is expected to pick up his option next year, so hopefully he comes back and he's healthy. He gave them nothing all year long. THT, he just signed a major contract, and here he is at the end of the year, he's benched. They got to get rid of him for whatever that you can get for him. Because at this point, why would anybody trade for Russ, man? Who would trade for him? Remember at the deadline, all we heard was maybe Washington being in the running for him. But man, ain't nobody want Russ. Let's just call it what it is. So my point is, y'all gonna have the same team running it back next year. So y'all have to figure out ways to build the others, man. Y'all gotta get some Stanley Johnson, DJ Augustine, who I love, but DJ Augustine and Trevor Ariza, Bazemore, all of they just guys, man. We got to get some real people in there. Malik Monk, shout out to Malik Monk. I feel like he had a great year for the Lakers. He's one of the few players that played consistent. I mean, don't get me wrong, he had some bad games, but that's basketball. He had a pretty good year. And I feel like anybody that watched the Lakers would agree with me on saying that. Austin Reeves had a good year. So I would keep Austin Reeves. I would keep Malik Monk. Maybe even Stanley Johnson. Avery Bradley, DJ Augustine, Bazemore, Trevor Ariza, all of them dudes got to go, man. You can get Melo back on the small margin, cool. If not, cool. You know what I mean? Like, Melo was fire at home, but Melo was all-time bad on the road. So he's going to be another year older. So I don't, you know what I mean? You got to get younger on this team. You got to get more athletic. You got to get some defensive-minded guys in here. And Russ has to look himself in the mirror. AD has to look himself in the mirror and seriously get in shape. Whatever it is that he isn't doing in the offseason, he's not doing something right, because this is year in and year out for AD. And it just be the nagging injuries. He has yet to have something. Well, no, he's had it, but consistently he hasn't had a major injury. It just be these nagging, he got to get right, because it's supposed to be his team now. LeBron should be second fiddle to AD at this point. Where do the Lakers go from here, man? But in terms of being the biggest failure of all time, who can you say was worse, man? Any other super team that people had expectations on that underachieved, or just team, period, I'm sure that they at least make the playoffs. Most of your top teams that people compare this team to, they made the playoffs. Whether it was the 8th seed, 7th seed, like the Dwight Howard, Kobe, Steve Nash, they made the playoffs. What's another one? Obviously, all the other LeBron teams make the playoffs. The Karl Malone team, come on, like you can't compare nobody to this team, no team to this team. This was definitely all time the worst Lakers super team underachieving, but in basketball, period, this is definitely the worst underachieving superstar team, man. And it's sad, honestly. I feel bad for LeBron, but at the same time, he put it together. This LeBron, this has his handprint written all over it. They should have went with a shooter, like the people was saying about the Buddy Hield. They should have went with Buddy Hield, and then you could have kept some of your guys, like the Caldwell Popes, maybe even Alex Caruso, and you could have still went for different free agents, and you could have traded Kuz, maybe try to get something for Kuz, like opposed to doing the Russ, put Kuz in the Buddy Hield deal or something. Like, it was something more, but it's gonna be interesting to see what Jenny Bust and Rob Pelinka do this offseason, man. Well, and LeBron. We got plenty of videos coming on the Lakers because they're the hottest topic in basketball. Despite everything that's going on in basketball, you can argue that this is the hottest topic in basketball. But I'm not gonna keep beating the dead horse because I'm not surprised because I seen this. Only thing I'm surprised about is that they didn't make the playoffs. But them being this bad, I seen it. That's RocSports I'm checking out. All of my boxing, NFL, and NBA fans, like, share, and subscribe, man. Keep coming back. I'm gonna be dropping more content.